In this chapter, we will address a rising cost of healthcare in the United States. Both the economic and the non-economic costs associated with healthcare in America are reviewed throughout the chapter. We're also going to look at the provision for the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, what we know as PPACA, signed into the law in 2010 by President Barack Obama. And the last we're going to look at the healthcare in Singapore, some of the characteristics of healthcare in Singapore and why it's classified as one of the best healthcare systems in the world. Okay, so the content of the chapter, healthcare industry, or the economic implication of the rising healthcare costs in the United States. We will review also the access and why there's such a rapid rise in the cost. There's some cost containment program that we will review and conclude with the PPACA that was signed in 2010. So what is included in healthcare industry? Healthcare industry includes a hospital, nursing home, laboratories, and physicians, dentist office, and employ about 20 million of Americans in United States. Private healthcare insurance is unique to United States. And as I alluded before, on March 23, 2010, the President Barack Obama signed the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act into law. Right, and that a new law give a government authority to provide insurance coverage. So Canada, as a national healthcare system, which means that government use taxpayers' money to provide every resident healthcare service. And healthcare insurance was used in United States during, for the first time it was used in the United States during World War II by businesses. And why they did that is to attract employees, right, to be able to offer a competitive package after World War II. In that period, private business start offer healthcare coverage to be able to attract workers, right? And you guys recall during that time, there was a constraint imposed by government. It's what we call the wartime wage and price restriction, right? And the only way for private businesses to bring in or to attract and maintain the labor resources is to be able to offer them something different, which is the healthcare. So after World War II, companies continued to offer healthcare insurance to attract employees. In this country, they have a lot of tendency to regulate healthcare industry rather than replace the system entirely. The United States has two challenges: the rising costs and the lack of access to healthcare by everyone. The healthcare spending is about 18% of GDP in 2017, which amount for nearly 1/5 of US economy. Now you can see here that the assets nearly 29 million were uninsured in 2017. So that's a big number. About 52% of healthcare spending was for a hospital and physicians office in 2017. And deductible here are the amount where the insurer pay first or had to pay first. So the deductible, the insurer had to pay the amount first out of pocket before the insurance kick in. For example, your insurance may require you to pay every period. Your out of pocket might be like 250, 500 or 1,000 before the insurance will kick in. While the co-payments are the amount that the insurer had to pay before the insurance kick in, or the insurance pay the rest. So the co-pay are a proportion, a set of percentage. Most of the time is 20%. You have to pay out of your pocket. Every time you consume healthcare, you pay the first 20%, and the insurance will pay the remaining 80%. The graph over here just illustrate the healthcare expenditure and how we finance it. So the two pie, the first one is the healthcare expenditure, and the second one is the source of financing the healthcare. Yep. And this information is from 2017. You can see that about 3.5 trillion was spent in healthcare in 2017. So this figure, you can see the healthcare spending as a percentage of GDP, and it has a greatly increased since 1960. So gradually keep increasing until today, and the expectation is it will keep increasing. The spending on healthcare as a percentage of GDP for selected nations compared to United States. So you see that as a percentage of GDP, and this is from 2016. United States is spend more than the rest of industrialized nation. U.S. life expectancy has increased by 8 years since 1970. Why? Because we have increased in research funding by the R&D, research and development had led to a decrease in many diseases. Right, so production of healthcare uses scarce resources as any other production. So, total output of healthcare at the margin may both be worth less than alternative good. So US may be consuming healthcare where the marginal cost is greater than marginal benefit. Therefore, we have that over allocation or over production of healthcare, over allocation of the scarce resources to healthcare, and that generate efficiency loss to the society as a whole. However, I wanted to point out is that there are many illness or diseases caused by an unhealthy lifestyle, right? And also the challenge that we see today, also the reappearance of a certain disease, right? The TB, and also we haven't eliminated the AIDS epidemic. And even recent study or recent research also show the appearance of measles, mumps in the population. So there's some challenges that after we spend that much money, we still see some of the diseases. So the question is, are we with the portion of our GDP spending in healthcare, are we healthier than other nations that spend less as a percentage of their GDP? The rising costs in the healthcare industry cause employer to reduce or impact the wage increase in the United States. So employer reduce the amount of healthcare that they offer. The fact that year to year, the rising costs in healthcare push certain employer to reduce the healthcare insurance that they offer to the employee altogether. It also impact the wage growth, since the healthcare package is a part of the wage. A certain employer save money on healthcare by hiring a temporary worker or part-time worker, so they are not required to provide them with healthcare. So the rising cost in healthcare have many implications, right? They have many implications. First one being employer reduce the healthcare that they offer altogether, or they impact the workforce by offering more part-time or temporary work, or shift the work altogether to other supplier or other nation. Large medical bill in the United States is one of the major causes of bankruptcy. And spending in Medicare and Medicaid is the fastest growing segment of the federal budget. And the state cannot cover the portion. So limited access. One of the challenge being limited access. We have in the United States, we have the rising costs, the first challenge, and the second one is not everybody have access to healthcare. As one income rises, one is more likely to be insured, and lower wage earner may make too much money to be qualified for Medicaid, but not enough money to buy their own insurance on open market. And smaller firm face a higher administrative expense and they can deduct only a portion of those expenses. Emergency room treat all people, regardless you have insurance or not, right? But they must, and the cost, since they treat all people, the cost might be shift to those who are insured, because people who are not insured won't be able to pay the emergency medical bill. And the hospital push those or shift those costs to the few insured. Right. And one thing also that impact the cost also is the fact that when people are not insured, they wait until the disease becomes worse before they go to emergency room or hospital. Right. That make the cost even higher. It's less to be use a preventive approach than a curative approach for a disease. In the United States, we look at healthcare, right, as an entitlement. We are entitled to it due to some ethical consideration. Healthcare, we are entitled to it. So healthcare buyer have, and also healthcare buyer have that lack of knowledge about the procedure and tests and exams that they had to go through. But physician process all the detailed information. So that asymmetric information is another thing also. They put the patient in the position that they cannot shop around. There's a positive externality to the society due to improve healthcare and immunization. Consumer with insurance pay lower out-of-package costs. Right, they pay low out-of-package costs. Right, and we know that if you don't pay the full price of a product, you will tend to overuse that product. So that's one of the cause also of the rising costs in healthcare. But I recall in the past, some insurance even didn't require people to have a out-of-pocket. And the research showed that the tendency to overuse the system is greater if you don't have to pay. That's what, in the line of a cost containment, insurance require out-of-pocket costs, right, to be able to have the insurer think twice before they consume. Increasing demand for healthcare, we see rising income, and also the fact that healthcare is a normal good. As income rise, we tend to consume more of normal good, and healthcare being a normal good, rising costs or rising in income, I mean that greater demand for healthcare. Healthcare is a normal good with an income elasticity coefficient that is between or greater than 1.5 in the United States, and a price elasticity that is low as 0.2, right? And another challenge also is the aging population. Add together to unhealthy lifestyle is likely to cause people to demand or to increase the demand for healthcare. Physicians, I know all the information, may also increase the demand for healthcare because they, as a supplier, have more information about the tests that they prescribe than the consumer. One thing also to point out here is the doctor or physician are paid on a fee-for-service basis. So if someone is paid on a fee-for-service, that person will have a tendency to prescribe more service, right? To prescribe more service. And a fee-for-service means that the doctor is paid separately for each service that he or she perform. So again, you will see that the tendency in that particular case will be to prescribe more service because you have an incentive to prescribe more service. There are some of the role of healthcare insurance. Right? Healthcare insurance, like any insurance, is a way to pay at no cost in exchange for protection for an uncertain, right? Potentially large cost in the future. So you pay something in the front, which is smaller, an exchange of something that potentially would be greater than what you pay in the front. And this could lead to two different behavior, right? Behavioral change for the person who purchased the insurance. First, that person may adopt less healthier lifestyle because know that they have insurance. Something happened, they will go to hospital. A second, insurer may also seek more visit to the hospital because knowing that I have insurance, especially that the out of pocket is lower, the person may have that tendency to overuse the service. So government tax subsidy, how this play? Anyone know how that play? So country with national healthcare insurance use other way rather than price to ration the healthcare, right? They use a strict limit on how much the insurer can spend, right? Patient also may have to wait for weeks, like in case of Canada, patient had to wait a week or even more than a month for certain service to be performed. So I asked the question before the government tax subsidies. So federal tax policy toward employer finance health insurance work as a tax subsidy, right? Since employee do not pay taxes on the value of the healthcare they receive as a benefit. So let's look at some of the loss of efficiency throughout this graph. So the figure here show the allocation of resources for those without insurance, right? And with insurance. You see the equilibrium here, we have the quantity consumed QA at the price PA. But if you look at the figure with healthcare insurance, what you see here is the lower, right, the oval. So we have our equilibrium here, which is here. So the less cost here and the overuse of healthcare increase the demand for healthcare. So the demand being here, you can see that what happened here is the overuse, right? The quantity now is overuse of the service here with a segment of the population that have healthcare insurance, and that result in a higher price, right? And in this area over here, you will see that we have loss of efficiency here due to overuse or over allocation of resources, right? We all alluded to the fact that the resources that we use to produce our service are good or scarce. So if you use it more than what you should use, or you over allocate the resources, it's a waste to the society. So here is a case of overconsumption of healthcare. The supply factor in the rising healthcare costs. So we have the supply of a physician, a slow growth in productivity, and change in medical technology. So for the supply of physician in the United States, we see that increase over the years. And this supply has not kept up with the increase in the demand for physician service. So healthcare service and the fact that healthcare is a service, not a good, it is generally more difficult to increase the productivity of service compared to the productivity of a good. And also some of the supply factors also are related to the change in technology, right? The technological advances in the way that it deliver healthcare at lower cost. However, most often those are medical technology have been more expensive. So a very expensive investment, and with expecting return on that investment on mine. If a hospital invests a lot of money in equipment, ultimately gonna want to pass that investment to the consumer. That's also one of the fact that you see that increase in the healthcare costs in the supply side. Cost containment program, existing cost containment program, we'll go through them. HSA, PPO, HMOs, and DRG. So controlling the growth of a healthcare costs, prices, and spending, it has been the objective for any society, especially for U.S. economy. So the health saving account are the account available to all workers who are covered by a healthcare insurance plan with an annual deductible of $1,000 or more, right? And do not have first dollar insurance coverage. So the health saving account are designed to promote personal saving toward healthcare expense. So they help you to save some money in case you have a healthcare issue. You can pull out of that saving account. The PPO preferred provider organizations, right, require hospital and physician to accept a discounted price, right? And that discounted price is the requirement to include the service provider in the organization and give them eventually a consumer. So the PPO require hospital physician to accept that discounted price for the service as a condition for being included in the insurance plan. And that helped to reduce the insurance premium and healthcare expenditure. We have also the HMO, which is health maintenance organizations. And it provides healthcare service to a specific group in exchange for annual fee. So HMO provide healthcare services to a specific group in exchange for a set of annual fee. Medicare use a diagnosis-related group, a DRG system, which means that a hospital receive a fixed payment for treatment of each patient rather than being paid all costs related to the patient. Thirty-three states in the United States have a place cap on medical malpractice awards, and believe that this will end up helping in reducing healthcare costs, because since they put a cap on medical malpractice lawsuit, eventually that will end up being a lower medical malpractice premium, and eventually will reduce the healthcare costs. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act that was signed in 2010 into law, they highlighted a few steps, and the aim for the act is eventually to make healthcare more accessible to the population, to everyone, and also reduce the cost. Here are some of the highlights for the act. The other provision can be found in the almost 2,400 pages of document. If you go to www.healthcare.gov, federal website managed by the Department of Health and Human Services. Okay, so in the act, you have an employer mandate, a personal mandate. I think the personal mandate is kind of was lately in 2018. It was repealed. The personal mandate was repealed from the law, and it's a part of 2018 tax reform bill. And here in the bill also, the poor will be covered under expanding Medicaid with the help of government subsidies. Government also provide, throughout the act, government provide a regulated market for insurance, helping the individual to shop for their own insurance. And several new taxes have been implemented to help pay for the program. And one of them is the 0.9% increase in Medicare tax for some income earner, and a 3.8% increase in capital gain tax for the same earner. You have also 40% tax on employer that provide high premium policy for the employee. That's how the program expect to generate funds necessary to pay for. The passing of the PPACA was not without strong opposition. And some of the major objectives are listed here, right? Greater inefficiency in healthcare. People scared of the act as the first step to national healthcare, to nationalize healthcare system. Increase in consumption. One thing is clear here: the economic challenges of the healthcare industry in the United States will continue. The last word of the chapter explore this Singapore healthcare system, and think that Singapore implement make the healthcare system less costly and very efficient, right? So to the point that the WHO rate healthcare system of Singapore as one of the best, and they spend only 4.9% of the GDP. So the typical thing about a Singapore healthcare system is that it allow the patient, right, to shop around for best deal, and government publish it, the track record of each hospital regarding service that the hospital offer. The patient also has to pay out of pocket for most of the costs for healthcare expense. Most of the healthcare procedure, the patient had to pay out of pocket, and the citizen of Singapore can do that because of they are required 6%, right? They are required 6% saving to the MediSave, similar to the healthcare saving account that we have over here. Here in the United States, we found some similarity in some area with Singapore. The whole food healthcare plan, for instance, right? And the healthcare plan offered to the employee of the state of Indiana. Those two are similar to the system that is being used in Singapore to make the healthcare more affordable to the citizen.